everybody. Welcome to the Section 325 podcast.
The second half.
Second half. Here we are.
After the second preseason games.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
We're rolling into guys losing jobs and even veterans. You know, we hear about veterans that are maybe overpaid and teams don't want to pay them, that are going to get cut and picked up by other teams or possibly retiring into the sunset.
You know what? It's funny that you brought that up as being paid. So Trevor Lawrence, he's being paid, $55 million on average. If you pull up his stats with another current player quarterback, he has the exact similar stats in the last 48 games. Win to loss ratio is spot on, passing yards is spot on, total touchdown spot on, total turnover spot on. Guess who that other quarterback is that has the same comparison to Trevor Lawrence? And Trevor Lawrence is getting paid $55 million. So you might look at this other quarterback where the team is getting him for scotch-free.
Oh, you talking about Russell Wilson?
No.
Are you talking about the guy from the Jets?
Close. The Giants.
No.
Daniel Jones has the exact same stats as Trevor Lawrence.
But he's also getting he's overpaid.
Well, again, you might look at his contract and everything. Giants are getting him scot-free. And when you compare apples to apples to Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones, you don't think that those two are the same quarterback, even though you're thinking Trevor Lawrence, number one overall pick. Yeah, I just don't see those two having the same.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say the quarterback position is probably one of the most difficult athletic positions in all of sports. I don't know what you could say is harder. I mean, it's tough to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball coming down the middle, but you got several guys that can hit that pitch. Our league, you got 32 guys and maybe 20 guys who play it at a high level. And the rest are just like a Daniel Jones, like a Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. They're not elite, but they are good and better than whatever else you could bring in, apparently.
Yeah, or they're just throwing behind the back passes.
But to be elite, I mean, gosh,
Did you see Mahomes' behind the back pass?
Yeah, Mahomes, I mean, he's just another level of everybody. And you think of a guy, Russell Wilson comes to mind, and I saw, what's that loudmouth guy talking about him?
Shanahan?
No, he's got an opinion on everything. He used to have, The Take. He was on there, and now he's got his own show. What's that guy?
Hurd, is it? No,
he says, Michael Jordan's a personal friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, it's Smith. What's his name?
Yeah, Smith. That's his last name.
What's his first name?
Stephen A.
Smith.
Stephen A. Smith going off on that Russell Wilson looks like garbage, and there's a reason the Broncos got rid of him. He's taking too many sacks, and all that's true, but
it is true.
Man,
I watched a little bit of the Steelers preseason game this last week, and Russell did not. Neither did Fields. Between the two of them, they only got 3 points on the board. And
I'm excited to watch Russell play.
I am excited to see him. It's like redemption. Come on, buddy. You didn't do well in Denver. You have to redeem yourself.
Remember a few shows back, we went through our top games each week that we were looking most forward to. Yeah. I think the Steelers were in the first 3 weeks.
At least. Because we want him to do well. But right now, even just in the preseason game, he's still getting sacked.
Is Fields any better?
Fields knows how to run.
I don't know. I think he's definitely a starter. I think the coach named him the starter. Did he not?
No, not yet. No one's a starter yet.
In
Pittsburgh.
Well, they've been treating Wilson as the starter because he hasn't played.
Well,
he played one series maybe or two.
Yeah, he's had this calf injury that's been kind of lingering on.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that.
No starter has been announced yet in Pittsburgh, I don't think.
Yeah, so I really want I didn't care about Russell when he left at first to Denver, but now that I've seen him just get ripped apart, and I'd like to see him do well again with the Steelers. And Pittsburgh, I picked them to win the division because I plan on Russell Wilson being a big part of that offense. And what happened with Brandon Ayuk? 1 second everybody's announcing he's going to the Steelers, and now
No,
Debo Samuels is like, no, he's staying put.
yeah, nothing's done yet, as far as I have heard. Is that he's just waiting for something to happen with the Niners, as
Dude,
far as him getting paid or whatever. I just don't like these holdouts.
I
Like
know. And then this guy Reddick with the
Jets.
Jets, all the everything he's going. And then I read something quickly this morning. So what is his name? Juju, whatever. The guy that was
Smith
with
Schuster?
no, the guy that was with the Patriots defensive end.
Oh,
He got traded to
yep.
the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
I read something like, "Oh, I'd be willing to go back to the Patriots." I'm like, "What? What's happening? You just got moved over last week." These guys, I'm like,
he doesn't get a good enough like welcoming
well,
at the facility, or like
it was something briefly I read, and then yesterday I thought it was really cool because he wants a new deal, and they were like, "How do you feel that you don't have a new deal?" And he goes, "Well, I've got film. They know what I did at the Patriots, but I haven't earned anything with the Falcons yet." So I thought that was a pretty good way of looking at it.
yeah.
And I'm sure he's going to be out there working hard and playing. He's not going to be another Reddick who accepts a trade and then just now doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't get it at
Maybe
all.
he has to pay for his soda in the vending machine.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah. You guys got to pay for all your own vending machine stuff. So what do we got planned today, Travis? What do we?
Well, as the season approaches, there's a lot of fantasy players out there that I know you don't play fantasy football anymore.
No, I love my life.
Yeah, so
And
so I just brought up my top 10, as you see in the next slide, what my top 10 fantasy players are for this approaching season. And also, I have told I do my own league. I'm the commissioner of my own fantasy league. And I told them that I will be doing the draft order here on the show, and it will be completely random. And I actually have all their teams in this cup here. And throughout the show, I'll have Sean select one at a time, and we'll go from 10 to first, and that'll be the order. So we'll start off with number 10.
I used to be in this league, and now I'm happy to just be drawing, just not have to do anything.
All right,
just watch football.
Yep. So number 10 is John Scary's team. John Scary's team.
Thurston?
This is Thurston.
Thurston.
We'll do one more. But yeah, he went with the general name that ESPN app gave him. So he didn't even change his name. And then number 9 is the Guardians of the Goal Line.
Guardians of the Goal Line.
Yeah. So
okay.
There's 10 and 9 for right now. And after a little bit, we'll do another 8 and 7.
We'll set this aside because we needs to look at this. You already have to look at it up here.
So anyway, we're gonna do this one. Okay.
Yeah, this one came up first.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. We'll switch it up here. So what I have here for us is just the kind of like last time we were here in the studio. We just randomly pick a team from the bag, and with the question, we answer why won't this team make the playoffs?
Wow, this is my team. So I'm glad that you answered. If the Seattle Seahawks, I say we, I'm a huge fan, season ticket holder, those of you who know me, we will not make the playoffs if we cannot compete in our own division. This will be 3 years in a row that if we don't win in our own division, we're not doing anything in the playoffs, even if we made it. But they will not go to the playoffs if they can't compete in their own division. End of story.
All right, and then mine, I got your rival.
Yeah, there we go. We're staying in the NFC West. Yeah.
So the Rams, if they won't make the playoffs because I'm going to say Matthew Stafford gets injured. That's
exactly what I was thinking.
Bold prediction right there. And they cannot win against the Niners. I think that's going to be a start. I can see them going 1-1 with the Seahawks, but you have to take down the top dog, the Niners, and I don't think they'll get a win there at all. So yeah.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. Why this team will play in the AFC NFC Championship game?
It's even.
He gets his own team.
I get my own team, and they will make it to the championship game because of Bo Nix. Right there. I said it
And
first.
if Patrick Mahomes is out for the year.
And Patrick goes out,
Oh man.
and the Raiders crash like they usually do. And,
Yeah. Yeah, Raiders. Why
and I
even
guess
bring the
we would
Raiders?
have to get the Ravens at some point in the playoffs,
Well,
or the
they
Bills.
have trouble
Like
winning.
they just need everything to go their way. That's why they'll
Is
play.
Baltimore the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, here we go.
We'll talk more about Bo Nix. He's going to
Cleveland.
be the week 1 starter. You heard it here from me now. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
No announcement yet that if he's
Numbers
a
prove
start,
it.
but he's had a good few good preseason games so far.
All right, but this is pretty easy. I think the Cleveland Browns have a running game. They have a defense. They have everything necessary to get to that championship game in the AFC.
Doesn't matter who's the quarterback, too.
Well, that's true. They went a long way with Flacco off the couch eating McDonald's, but Deshaun Watson, if he can have a season and kind of find where he used to be prior to him, injuries, prior to him getting in trouble with his massage things that he's been doing. If a guy can just play football and get back to it, I think that the Browns have a legitimate chance of it. All falls on Deshaun Watson because your defense is going to keep you in games. You need somebody to score you points.
Yep.
Okay, boom or bust season.
No. Oh, Raiders came out first. Yeah, that's a bust.
Yeah.
No reason. Sorry, John.
But I mean,
No.
okay, they have a new head coach. He came in last year as an interim.
Gardner Minshew is going to be in a new team. He's starting. I'm not saying that he is the only hope that they have. He's a great quarterback. Last year, he came in as a backup, and then when Richardson got injured on the Colts, he came in and they almost made the playoffs. So again, they'll have a great season, but with our friends that are Raider fans, they get disappointed easily. So I think with their first year with their new head coach, it's going to be a learning season, and they'll take it into next season, and hopefully they boom.
I'm watching the receivers. I haven't got all the way through it yet on Netflix, and I didn't realize what's his name, the wide receiver.
Adams.
Yeah, dude, he's a horrible teammate. He's constantly complaining and whining on the sideline. I realize that you're the stud, and you had Aaron Rodgers throwing you the ball, who made you look good. You made him look good. All right, you guys were great together.
And he had Carr.
But dude, you chose to go to the Raiders. They haven't done anything in years. They're not a franchise that wins year after year after year like the Packers. They in the 80s, the Packers did not win. They weren't a winning franchise, but they still had a waiting list of fans trying to get season tickets. They're great fans, loyal. But since the 80s, really since Brett Favre came in and now Aaron Rodgers, took over, and then now with their young stud, Jordan, dude, they're going to keep winning. But this guy chose to go to the Raiders, who haven't really won since the 80s. They had a brief 2000, 99, 2000, 2001 with
2002 is when they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, somewhere in there when they were with, they had John Gruden.
Yep.
And then they left. He went to Tampa, won the Super Bowl, and beat the Raiders, and who got there basically was his team, which is kind of unique. But yeah, the Raiders, man, they just I just couldn't believe the way he was talking and just whining and pouting on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, he's just like all the other divas they talk about at wide receiver.
Also, too, it made me wonder too if he's just has some bitterness on how they treated Derek Carr at the end of Derek Carr's tenure there. And
yeah, Raiders. Sure. The other thing, and that could have affected his attitude for sure, but off the field with his family and everything else, super cool, great guy. I'm not saying anything, but I just couldn't believe that he's just throwing his helmet. This is ridiculous. Always complaining and whining, and I'm just like, well, what did you expect? It's the Raiders. Boomer bust season. Bengals have been really good the last several years. Been to a Super Bowl, they lost, but from what I understand, maybe the hand injury or wrist injury, whatever happened to Burrow,
it was a hand. Yep.
Might not be right. He may still have problems. It's not healing up. So stay tuned. I think it all rides on Burrow, right? It's a bust if
If he
he's
gets
still
injured.
injured.
Yeah.
It's a bust.
Okay.
Boom if he can play at the level that he can.
All right.
But they got a tough division. Next question: will this team at any point make Wolf's top 10 this season?
I mean, that's a lot of opportunities for a lot of teams. Tennessee Texans,
Titans.
Titans. No, I don't think at any point they will be on
You
my
don't think
list.
Will Levis can lead them to the promised land?
No, I don't think so. Do you see his mayonnaise commercial?
No.
uh,
Guy puts mayonnaise in his coffee, in case you guys haven't
you know,
heard.
I think no, I just can't see the Titans being in my top 10, especially when you look at all the potential top teners that could be there. You know, obviously Chiefs, Bills, Niners, Ravens. You know, they'll easily be in there. But yeah, I mean, them not having Derrick Henry in the backfield, it's just hard for me to say that they will.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they'll prove me wrong and start winning, and hopefully by midseason they can
Yeah, I mean,
hit the top
the
10.
AFC is stacked. I mean, you take the whole North Division; they could all make it to the playoffs. You go to the East, and the Jets. Who knows what they're going to do? They have a great defense, but you got Miami and the Bills sitting there. And then the South is pretty weak. The Texans are definitely the leader in that division.
Yeah.
And then you got the West. Um, I think there's good teams. It's just kind of like my Seahawks, right? Can they be good or are they just not? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But
And then
there's a lot of expectations out of Buffalo and Miami and those teams.
he's not looking to or stuck.
Yeah. Minnesota Vikings. Who's their quarterback going to be?
I don't know. Well, it's Sam Darnold right now.
Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably just going to be they're going to be a good team. They're going to be in every game, but
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to win with
Division, really, because if you look at obviously the Lions, the Packers, those are the top two. But then Caleb Williams with the Bears, that might be surprising to see if how well they do with him. I mean,
Yeah.
their preseason games, he's been doing
I would
a
almost
phenomenal job.
put the Vikings
on
where
the
the
field,
AFC West is. I mean, you just don't know. They have a great coach. I like their coach a
Oh,
lot.
absolutely.
And I think they've done some things to improve on defense, and of course they got Jefferson at wide receiver who can make plays in his sleep. So they have an upside over a lot of teams, but without having that guy at quarterback, where they struggled last year without
Cousins.
Kirk Cousins. They struggled without him, and but they
through
were
it.
in every game. So you just you take I don't know. I look at it like a Geno Smith, right? Is he elite? No, not quite. But he's definitely a top 20 quarterback. And if Sam Darnold can get himself into a top 20 position of just playing solid, then the Vikings got a chance of winning. But I'm telling you, the Packers in that division and the Lions, they are, to me, the better team. So I think the Vikings, I don't think they're going to hit your top 10. I should have just answered it like that. But
let's do another drawing real quick for the
boom
for the fantasy league.
Oh, okay, fantasy league. All right.
So we'll do 8 and 7 here. So number 8 is the Big Richard.
Yeah, the Big
Richard. And number 7 is CDA Sweet Cheeks.
CDA Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
That's Wendy.
Oh, Wendy.
So yeah, then one more question there.
One projection you have for this team.
Bold.
One bold projection. All right. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. New York Jets.
Oh gosh.
Aaron Rodgers plays the whole season.
Wow. MVP?
Ooh, I don't think so.
You saw Tom Brady's video. Somebody's asking who the top quarterbacks were in the league, and he got to 4 of them. And then all of a sudden, the guy interviewing him, I can't remember who it was. He's like, "Well, what about Aaron Rodgers?" Oh, yeah, of course, Aaron Rodgers. He totally forgot about Aaron
That's
because he
funny.
said Mahomes, he said the Bills quarterback Josh Allen, and then he said Burrow, and then there was another guy. I don't remember who he said. But anyway, he forgot about Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers.
that's funny. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers completes the full season.
Does everybody
The
remember?
Redskins, the
I don't know.
Commanders.
I don't know if you guys are old enough, but in the '80s, the Redskins were like a dominant football team. And gosh, it's been a long time since the '80s, and they went and changed their name under pressure, and none of it makes sense anymore, right? You
No.
still have the Atlanta Braves and the Florida Seminoles, and those are really cool mascots. And then the Cleveland Indians, you remember Major
Yeah.
League, that movie?
Well,
They changed their logo, and then the Commanders. It just doesn't sound right.
no, it
They need to
doesn't.
be the Redskins again, and I feel bad. And I heard that they might be doing that.
They might be coming back. I'm not sure because again, everyone thinks it's because of the way their logo is. It's actually a copy of a chief, an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's like disgraced on them for changing the name to where, yeah,
And I, from what I understand, is that Native Americans are not really offended by the word Redskins. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. We would love to hear that back. Would you like them to be the Washington Redskins again, or are you happy that they're the Commanders because you were offended? I would like to know. But anyway, back to the question: what's a projection on this guy? They just named
Jaron Daniels,
Jalen
Jalen, yeah, Daniels.
Jalen Daniels, the starter, the rookie, and he has looked good.
Mm-hmm.
He looks athletic. He looks he reminds me of the Baltimore quarterback.
Oh yes,
He reminds me of that guy a little bit. So what's his name?
Jackson,
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar. Jeez, help me here. But anyway, if Jalen can play like, let's say, a level that the Texans quarterback played at in his rookie year, could we see the Commanders moving up into the division and challenging the Cowboys, the Eagles, and definitely the Giants?
Yeah.
But so that'll be my bold prediction. If Jalen can play at a high level, that they could make the playoffs.
All right, perfect. Well, now let's move on to my fantasy top 10
Do you want to
players.
draft a couple more?
Yeah, do two more
Okay.
here, right at the beginning of this.
All right.
I'll
Here we
do
go.
6 and 5 here. So 6.
Backfield penetration. Sounds terrible.
And number 5.
Big ballers.
All right. So what I have here is my top 10. Now, this is not going to be my actual list when I do my fantasy drafts because things change in fantasy drafts. But if you are debating on how you should pick and you need some help besides ESPN apps or all those other sports apps, here's my top 10 for you. And I have my reasons to it. So Puka Nakua comes in at number 10. I think he's probably about 12, 15 on average on other lists, but I have him at 10 because I think for you fantasy players, if you are in a keepers league where you can keep a player that you drafted the year before, Puka would be a great steal because most likely you probably got him in the 9th round, 6th round maybe, but he would be a great steal to keep. So I have Puka at 10. Brees Hall, I think he's a little bit higher on a lot of lists. I have him down because I believe Aaron Rodgers will play a whole season. Obviously, my prediction there. So I don't see a lot of running game happening with the Jets. But he's a great receiving back for the PPR leagues. So I have him at 9.
Do you think that we see the Jets try and pick up the wide receiver from the Raiders?
Oh, Adams.
Yeah. Do you
I
think
don't
they'll try
know.
and get him?
So
Because
maybe.
at some point nobody wants to hear him whining on the sideline.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway.
I have Justin Jefferson a little bit lower than some lists. I think most of them have him up at 5. I have him lower just because who's his quarterback?
We just talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
So
so. This is about like the Raiders guy, right? Adams. He hasn't had big numbers because he
yeah.
doesn't have a quality quarterback throwing him the ball. The
But
same
he
thing.
will get a lot of targets because he is their number one receiver.
Will Darnold throw the ball to him, or will he be checked down Darnold? We don't
Yeah, we
know.
don't know. So I have him at 8 uh, for right now. AJ Brown, good, solid
Stud.
stud. Yep, he's their go-to receiver for the Eagles. He would be higher maybe on other teams, but with how the Eagles run their offense, it's very balanced. But AJ Brown is their go-to guy in the air. Barkley, yeah, I have him. I think a little bit higher than some lists, but again, I think he's going to shine with the Eagles. Like I said, he's well balanced. So those two right there, Barkley and Brown, um, they're just going to be able to score some points on the board for you for the Eagles. So Eagles fans, I would be happy sitting there at the 6 and 7. Actually, backfield penetration is an Eagles fan. So,
Oh boy. Yeah.
I have Jamar Chase at 5. Joe Burrow, if he's healthy, he would be up higher too. So I put him safe right in the middle there. I think he's a good overall receiver, and again, number one receiver for the Bengals.
Yeah, he's a stud too.
Number 4, I'm on St. Brown. Man, watching receiver made me realize how much of a stud he is. In a way,
Tough.
in a way, it was kind of I knew who he was. I knew he was a great player. He had great stats last year, but it reminded me, I'm like, man, he is a great receiver, and it's almost I want to be. I hope I get 4 here and maybe get him, but yeah, he's a great receiver. Lions are going to have a great offense again this year, and yeah, I mean, there's a couple games last year he had 2 or 3 touchdowns in, so he'll get you some points this year.
Yeah, he's tough and he wants the ball. He wants to, I mean, he's got everything that you need. And I think he has a really good attitude. I mean, he is not
Oh yeah,
cocky. He's very humble, in my opinion. So I like Almon.
yep. And I have Tyreek Hill. I believe this is my number one receiver. Yeah, the top 2 are the running backs. So Tyreek Hill is my number one receiver. He may have not gotten a lot of targets, especially at the end of the year. He had some injuries, but up till about the 14th week, he was the number one uh, receiver last year. He's just when he gets the ball, he carries the yards for you. So Tyreek Hill is number 3.
And for every 800 yards that he gets, he has another child. So that's the
Let's
rumor.
do a drawing real quick.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, it's all right. Well, Bijan Robinson was the next one.
Why do you like Bijan?
I'll let
Because
you
he's
know.
got a quarterback.
So number 4, Fantasy Riches. And number 3, that is me, annexation of Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
All right, and we'll hold off on the last 2.
Okay.
So Bijan Robinson, I have him as my number 2. I think he's a little bit lower in some. I think 4 or 5, but I have him at 2 because he is going to be the running back for Cousins to hand the ball off to. Check down to. He gets a lot of receptions if you're in your PPR leagues. And another thing too, bringing him up, he's a great quarterback. If you have him as your pick, it would be nice to get his backup. I can't remember his name at the top of my head right now, but that's a good way to handcuff backup just in case if he gets injured, because their backup running back runs this ball just like he does. So it'd be a good security blanket for you as a handcuff pick. But yeah, Bijan Robinson, he's going to have a great sophomore year.
Number 2 pick and
of course,
Wolves number 1.
You can know, Christian
Christian
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
I don't even need to explain. Some people have him lower than they say he is today, just because his target or his carries are going to go down a little bit, just to be on the safe side of him not getting injured. But I mean, if you're number one, I think you should just draft CMC.
Okay. So
yeah.
your number one running back, Christian McCaffrey. Your number one wide receivers, Tyreek Hill. Let's put you on the spot. Who's if you're gonna pick, and you have the number one pick for all quarterbacks, who are you picking as
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
I know he's kind of like my favorite quarterback. My wife makes fun of me sometimes. Like I have a man crush on him, but I kid you not, like I have gotten him the last 2 or 3 years every year, and he's been the number one quarterback. So yeah, Josh Allen was the number one quarterback last year in fantasy points, and it's just a great steal. He runs the ball hard, especially at goal line. He'll get you touchdowns, and I mean, right now this year is a little bit different because you don't know who his go-to receiver will be, but I would still say Josh Allen, and also he is number one on most fantasy lists.
Okay, who's your number one tight end?
Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta.
Yeah, again, I had him last year. He had a great rookie season. You can argue that Travis Kelce can still be the number one, but I mean, he's getting to that point in his career where he'll start to dip, just because he's getting older. Just that's what happens as you get into your career.
Your body just, it hurts a little more.
So Sam Laporta is my tight end.
Okay, so if you're gonna draft a defense, who's your defense?
I would say Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, I would say Niners. I did not have them last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Niners has a good, solid defense.
All right, and then your kicker.
Aubrey with Dallas.
Oh,
and
really?
that would be the only Dallas player I would ever draft. It would be a kicker.
Not CeeDee Lamb?
No.
If CeeDee Lamb's sitting there and you need a wide receiver?
I'm glad that you brought that out because CeeDee Lamb, it would be, I think on this list, he's number 4, and I don't even have him on my top 10. The only reason why...
Is he going to be playing?
Not because he's a Cowboy player, is because, is he going to be playing? And I would hate to throw away my first round pick to someone that you don't know right now. So it could change next week when most everyone does their fantasy leagues.
Right. Last question for you.
Yeah.
Who's a player that maybe nobody's talking about, thinking about, that would be a great addition other than the backup to Bijan Robinson with the Falcons? Who's somebody out there that you're like, okay, if I can get this guy. Do you not want to share in case you're...
No, I mean, I can share, and I can always be biased. Jamal Williams with Denver, or Williams with Denver. He's usually been a kind of top 2 back that you can get. Like he could be your our RB2 or maybe even your flex. On the spot right now, like that. Of course, that's what I think is usually those Denver players, so that I can have a Denver player. But Waddle is usually another favorite to go to, and you can always get him in the third round or so. Rice with Chiefs, that would be a good steal. Maybe in the 3rd, 4th round. Metcalf, he'll go in the 2nd round usually. So
yeah, I would say okay. All right. Well, you want to do these last 2?
Yeah, we'll do the last 2.
Okay.
So with number 2, Bang Bang Niner Gang, and the number 1.
What is the name of your league?
Backyard Fantasy Football, and you get this nice trophy. I won it last year, so that's just bragging rights for me.
Number 1,
CDA Benchwarmers, the youngest player in our league at 16 years old, that gets the number 1 pick.
All right, congratulations, youngster. I hope you're watching this show right now, because otherwise
sure
you lose.
He is.
They should have to call and tell you what position they're in, or they get bumped to the back. That means that they didn't watch. That's the rule. You get bumped to last place if you don't call Travis and tell us where you were drawn at. Then we know you're watching.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for me on my fantasy and my fantasy league. So
Well, I think it's a good show. Obviously, fantasy football is a huge deal. I love watching what the losers have to do. What are you guys doing for the losers? Anything that you guys
you
do?
get kicked out of the league.
You get kicked out
No,
of
I'm just kidding. My
Wow.
wife got last and she quit.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I don't do anything for the losers because I don't know. I mean, maybe we should. Maybe you viewers out there, maybe the league can vote on or tell us what we should do for the losers.
I saw a guy who lost who had to nonstop travel around the United States on flights for 3 days, catching flights from here to there to here to there to here.
Like
to,
no plan or anything, just
No,
catching red eyes.
just I don't know how it all worked. That's just all I saw. And they had a picture of him in the airport. And I'm just like, wow.
Oh, that's funny. So
Anyway, well,
All
that's
right.
our show.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps you guys out with fantasy. We're going to try to bring you some really cool stuff like this all year long, but we are getting close to the season starter.
Wow, almost
how
14 days away.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, that's our show for today, section 325. We're out of here.
Second half.